Yeah, yeah. This is Point Black coming in hard and off the card, coming with the flow straight from the barrio, and coming with that heat from the damn street. This is PBNN Point Black National News, the late and the great edition and the ghetto edition. Now, today, because this is what we must do with the facts to crack backs and a little bit to the lioness lips. Now, today we on keeping up on the trail because we got to keep up on the trail, at all times, based on, a lot of things that's going on in our government that should not be going on, and has had chance to sit up there and brew to the point where, what I'm saying, you even got the regular people and the common people following right along. This is how we ended up with this whole problem to begin with. You know what I'm saying? But thank goodness for Donald Trump and his plans to save this world, to save America, and even the world in more ways than one, because this seems to be a global problem that we're having. Because how we know it's a global problem is simply by looking at NATO. NATO is truly a brew from the old dew. See what I'm saying? And what that means is they've been doing this shit and building this kind of shit for a minute. It ain't like they just started, building NATO. They've been building NATO for a minute. You know what I'm saying? You could look at old films or old conversations or old news reports. You know what I'm saying? Even when Donald Trump, like I said before, was out there speaking on it when he was just a real estate developer, as he was, his title was, because, he had money to do so. And at the same time, he spoke on why America was broke. He spoke on what they were doing with the money to, the creepy Joe Biden administration, because I'm sure he was a part of it. You know what I'm saying? He was a part of it. You know what I'm saying? He can't fool me with that one. He was a part of it. You know what I'm saying? In all ways. So we know that the NATO situation is not something that is new. This is something that they were brewing all the way back from the 70s and, and shit like probably even the 60s. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? But like I said before, and I'll say it again, when they do something, it's not a here and now plan. A lot of times it's basically over 40, 50, 60 years of them manipulating the government in certain directions and ways, such as what we saw going on with Afghanistan and the World Trade Center. Now I'm saying that plan probably was already set in play. We don't know exactly how long because we wouldn't know really. You know what I'm saying? But it still came out to the knocking down of the Twin Towers that should not have went down that easily, because the guy on the people that built it to be able to take two and three and four, Boeing 747 engine planes or whatever to hit into it, and it still would not have collapsed in the form in which we seen. You see, they thought that they could get away with just any form of collapsation, but it goes to show how the even Democrats are also, in more ways than one, losing their grip. It is important that they do lose their grip. When we look at this whole situation, it's important that they do lose their grip, because in their game that they're playing, excuse me, people, in the game that they're playing, it still come out to the same garbage. As we see, it come out to the same garbage. You know what I'm saying? And that's part of the problem why we're faced, we're faced with these problems. You know what I mean? Why we're faced with these problems. Because You know what I'm saying? When they figure they're losing their grip and they're about to lose and this and that and the third and the fourth, or just to carry out their wicked, evil agenda, you know what I'm saying? We see their garbage in itself. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But with the coming of Trump, Trump basically put a stomp on much of that. You know what I'm saying? Because that was what was supposed to happen. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to sit up here and pretend for one bit that Trump wasn't doing what he's supposed to do based on what was supposed to happen. Now, if people put it together, you could basically, you know what I'm saying, see the roadmap. But today, we got another one coming in from the great Doc himself, Doc Rich, as we see. Going to give him that thumbs up. Oh, hold on a minute, people. Let me put some power on that. Sometimes I'll be forgetting. You know what I'm saying? So at the same time, we're going to put that on there and give Doc Rich the thumbs up. This is a good one. You also know to hit that subscribe button. You know what I'm saying? At all times, you know, you have all personalized and none. So you hit that subscribe button and basically, you know, do that. I don't want to keep doing it because I did it before, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to do it one more time just to give an example, you know what I'm saying, in itself. You know, I like it personalized, you know what I'm saying? And it shows right there, you get personalized notification, you know what I'm saying? You got to subscribe. And also, you know what I'm saying, help Rich out with the algorithm, you know what I'm saying, and the comments and the views. It's important that we do so in all ways. You know what I'm saying? But without further ado, let's see what the Rich has dropped for us today.
And here to discuss Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, Texas Congressman Chip Roy. So, Chip, let me start with you tonight. So up until, I guess, some point today, earlier today, you did have a stopgap measure. You had your House Freedom Caucus sponsoring a deal, making a deal with the more moderate mainstream caucus. That would impose an 8% spending cut on federal agencies, not including not including the National Defense Budget, the Department of Veterans Affairs, or any amounts designated for disaster relief, and that would fund the government through October 31st. So my question is, what happened to that deal, and where do we go from here?
Yeah, Sean, good to be on. I mean, first of all, everything you just said, we should, as Republicans, have already passed 12 appropriations bills that would deal with all of those policy issues you just described and cut the overall spending level. That is what we should have done. We have not done that. So now we're sitting here in September, and we're trying to figure out what we need to do next. Today, unfortunately, we voted down a Department of Defense appropriations bill that would have cut the abortion tourism, cut chief diversity officers, cut diversity, equity, inclusion because of the great work we did trying to force conservatives onto appropriations committees. And similarly to the question you just asked, we put forward a bill that would have cut spending to all of the non-defense, non-veteran bureaucracy by 8% and attached to it H2, the strongest border security bill we've ever passed to try to check Joe Biden's open borders. We wanted to tell Democrats, you should either shut down the border or you're going to deal with a shutdown government. Unfortunately now, we are in danger of turning over home field advantage to the Democrats and giving Democrats power to make the decisions next week rather than doing our job. I think that's a mistake. Some of my colleagues in good faith, including the one who's just about to talk, who's a friend of mine, I think we made a bad choice this week. I think we could have moved forward. Now we got to figure out how to set a top line number and try to move appropriations bills like we should have done all the way back in July.
All right, the House tried voting on
Care. It's been the heart of our mission for more than 25 years. If you need health insurance,
on the rule for the DOD defense appropriations here. Matt, was that voting against even bringing up the bill or having a discussion and voting on it and the 170 amendments that I guess you can add to a bill like that? And let's talk about what's on your agenda here. You are a leading critical voice of Speaker McCarthy. What do you want, and how is this going to proceed? And do you agree that Republicans win or lose together, one way or the other? There won't be some winners and some losers. You either win together or lose together.
I can assure you that Speaker McCarthy deserves all the criticism and more, because it's his fault that we haven't considered individual appropriations bills up to this point. And that's actually not a bug of the system. It's a feature, because they want to jam us at the end of the government running out of money, and then under that time pressure and the fear of a shutdown, centralize power so that the lobbyists and the special interests who own Kevin McCarthy, who give him all the money, get to make the decisions. Now, today I agreed with Chip Roy that we should have proceeded onto the defense appropriations bill. I would have voted for that bill. We were not able to proceed because some of my colleagues didn't feel like Kevin McCarthy was in compliance with the agreement in January to constrain himself to a top-line spending level that did not embrace the ballooning budgets of Bidenism and COVIDism. So my plan is not to lump every disparate agency of government into one vote on a continuing resolution, but instead to only review these things separately and independently. That is the serious way to go about this work. Chip is right. We will have a shutdown, but I don't believe that an 8% 30-day cut would have yielded the programmatic reforms that would create any long-term savings. The only way to do that is open amendments, individual bills, no more continuing resolutions or omnibus.
We have the moderate wing now threatening a clean CR, which would be a loss for anybody that believes in fiscal responsibility. You have even Mitch McConnell admonishing you members of the House for daring to even consider fiscal responsibility. I think the irresponsible one is him in this particular case, because I think spending levels are too high. $2 trillion in new debt this year alone. At what point is enough enough? So
I got to interject there, because I wanted you guys to hear that. Mitch McConnell. And of course, I've talked about Mitch McConnell before, but let me say this again. Any Republican that is voting against what the Freedom Caucus is trying to push forward, in my humble opinion, they are not true Republicans. They are not real Republicans. They are rhinos. But I digress. Who am I? I'm just the guy that makes videos on.
Now, from what we see in here, when he said rhinos, let's look at this the right way. Well, I'm not saying Doc Rich is wrong. Rhino is rhino. He's right in his ways in what he's saying. But what we're going to say here is that this has been an ongoing thing with these people for many, many years. You know what I'm saying? This is how the Demon Democrat got away with majority of what they did. It wasn't because black people was always Democrats or, so and so. But the infiltration of the Republican Party, probably going back, some years, had been happened to where the Republicans was even, saying the white Republican, European, Eurocentric ones and Europeans that took over the Republican Party was even down with the Demon Democrats in joining in even certain massacres of African people, you know what I'm saying, and so forth, and black people and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Turn the Republican Party into sometimes a whole nother piece of bullshit. Now, we see the same thing today. Wasn't it not too long ago, during 2020, when we saw, the crooked ass Black Lives Matter bullshit, if you ask me, you know what I mean? And we saw, the White House and all that dumb shit that went on, which was all, to me, calculated plans. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. It doesn't matter what you know, what you see. YouTube is YouTube, and that's for everybody in the world to see. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter what kind of spying they do. It doesn't matter what kind of shit they do. We have to stay on the right, and we have to stay on the narrow and the right path. It's important that we stay on the narrow and right path. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to do what they do anyway. You know what I'm saying? As I was saying just not too long ago outside, talking to myself really, you know what I'm saying, is that we have a lot of ignorant people. You know what I'm saying? And we know full well that in the ignorance, they don't want to hear nothing that they have done in the past that set it up to where we are today. But Point Black likes to deal with today also. Don't get it twisted with just the past. You know what I'm saying? Because the past leads to the present, of course, and the present actions and actions taken therefore after. So it's very important that we understand that. You know what I mean? But when you see Republicans, many of the much of all of the Republican Party at one point had gotten to the point where it was completely taken over. You know what I'm saying? And basically wasn't doing much for black people anymore. Like I mentioned before, that's why many of our black brothers and sisters, even including Martin Luther King, tried to start different types of parties that would represent black people in Congress. And they were very successful in many ways. You know what I'm saying? That's what helped push the civil rights. You know what I mean? They stayed on it, even forming parties of their own. You know what I mean? I think one of them was the CLC, and you had Marcus Garvey form different type of party, UNIV, and all types of stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And we had many others that pushed many great things, and many doctors, Ivan Van Sertimer, you know what I'm saying? Uncle Ben, Henry Clark. You had what's his name? Dr. Simmons from the Virgin Islands as well. You know what I mean? You had Yosef Ben Yakinen, I think his name is. He also, lived in the Virgin Islands. He grew up. He grew up probably in. I think he was from. I forgot exactly. Ethiopia, and then he moved, I guess, around, and he ended up in the Virgin Islands. You know what I'm saying? And he did great things, and he's still doing great things. You know what I'm saying? We need to support the people who are educating our mind to the truths and not following those who claim to be educating our mind to the truth. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, distorting it to keep it in their favor. That's not the truth. It's not the same thing. That's a semi. You know what I'm saying? So when we look at even LBJ and the Republican Party is for many years, to me, have been in the same bed. And then not only that, not speaking even of the old times and LBJ, we could speak of throughout past LBJ, Richard Nixon and all of them, all the way to Ford and Carter and all of them, you know what I'm saying? Many of them, you know what I'm saying, were doing the bidding of the demon Democrats, claiming to be a Republican, no more than a Republican that became an individual. That family has been a Republican for years, but on the crooked side of the Republican issues and party, and damn sure voting and siding with the demon Democrats because they're under their control. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, you had many Democrats who were Democrats and then decided to become Republican. You know what I'm saying? That is something that they're going to have to stop. You know what I mean? That's not a help. That's called a strategical control of both parties. That's what that's called. Under the strategical control, you know what I'm saying, you have people who cross party lines, who decide to become who was a Democrat and decided to become a Republican. And you have many, many of them. Anytime you have 19 Republicans or even 20 in the party that is voting alongside, right along with Democrats. So you know for well that that's something they've been doing. Let's not be naive, people. That's something they've been doing in order to control both parties. You know what I'm saying? The both parties basically for years in bed with the garbage and the bullshit. And then at the same time with the garbage and the bullshit, you know what I'm saying, they play us against each other and then sit back and laugh. You know what I'm saying? But so you get the picture more ways than one. So let's get back to Doc Rich.
YouTube from time to time. So y'all let me know how you feel in the comment section. But let's continue on because there's more information.
So my question to you is...
I'm glad that Leader McConnell can muster an admonishment. He must be feeling better. But when it comes to a clean CR, if House moderates want to join with Democrats to advance every feature of the Biden government, thinking that that's going to be good for them politically, they will be signing their own political death warrant and handing it to their executioner, because it won't be conservatives going after those moderates in the next elections. It'll be the very...
Oh, yes, it will. And I don't mean like literally physically. At the ballots, we will go after them, right? Voting, we will go after them. You know, I don't mean like going after them physically, so nobody tries to twist my words. Oh, you know, he was threatening. No. That's not what I mean. At the voting booth, we will go after them. Make no mistake about it. We will remember their names. I will remind people of their names, and they will not get voted back in. It's that simple. As a matter of fact, guys, let me know if you'd be interested in me doing some interviews of some Republicans running across the nation. You know, some governors' races, right? Some Republican governors' races across the nation. And I don't care where. It could be anywhere. You know, I was just...
No, that's a very good point that he just made. Like I said before, just like Doc Rich is saying, and he'd probably been saying, you know what I'm saying, knowing Doc Rich, you know what I'm saying, well, you know, it's the same with me. We have to keep an eye on everything, people. Every single thing. All the senators, judges, all the different races that go on when they're running for office, who's running, you know what I'm saying, what's his political views, you know what I'm saying, and be honest about it, not just sucking demon Democrat balls, but at the same time, be honest about, you know, your reporting. When you're at those different campaigns and shit, when they're running for office, your phone should be out. You should be out there, you know what I'm saying, you know, recording or whatever as to what that candidate is talking about on the campaign trail, because we don't always see every single candidate and every single judge and every single person that's running for a position in the government, local government, and even international. You know what I'm saying? Not just the United States, but, you know, across the world. We have to keep our eyes sharp on all of them, because this is how they was able to formulate NATO, you know what I'm saying, in more ways than one, right under our nose. You know what I'm saying? But making you think in more ways than one, it was about nuclear disarmament. No, it was not. It was about building a new world order in their bullshit little game, you know what I'm saying, to be able to have the power to control the world under, you know, their one world government, you know what I'm saying, in more ways than one. And what proved that, you know what I'm saying, is many different strategical and biological attacks on the American people that you did, even up to this day, 2020. You can't tell me that that was not a biological attack on Americans. You know what I'm saying? What was the censorship all about? What was the disinformation all about? You know what I'm saying? What was what was systematic A and systematic B bullshit about? Talking about good, healthy people who are spreading the virus. That's impossible, people. First of all, what gave their dumbasses away is whenever there's a pandemic or virus that is spreading, so they say, which was not, you know what I'm saying, or even any mention of it, you know what I'm saying, and even in the midst of it, or whatever game they played in there, Luciferian, biomedical, you know, attack, biological attack on the people, you know what I'm saying, you don't give the people a vaccine. You don't. Why would you do that? You know what I'm saying? You immediately went from one step right to the immediate step on the next on the next step of their Luciferian plan. It was only 1, 2. You know what I'm saying? 1 I said, 2 you do. You don't do that in a pandemic situation. And another thing you don't do is you don't have them wear a mask because you want to know if it's in the air. You also have to take into account for how many people claim that they caught it just floating in the air. You know what I'm saying? And the next thing you have to do is you have to leave the people be. Because the next thing that they did that they should not have done, that definitely gave their asses away, was they started talking about testing. They started talking about testing every single American, you know what I'm saying, at these test sites, setting up test sites all over the place, and every single one of them had a Chinese on the computer, included in the hospitals. Have you paid attention? But at the same time, don't just go for every person that come over here claim to be in our medical system, you know what I'm saying, of a foreign descent is on the level with the American values and the American trust and and they don't have a scheme. No more that when it comes to the medical situation. That's another place we want to make sure that we keep a proper report on is the medical field and the hospitals as well, and at clinics and anywhere of malpractice that is being seen and not shown. I mean, done and not shown. You know what I'm saying? And not seen. You know what I'm saying? By the people. You know what I'm saying? We have to know everything now. You know what I'm saying? But the next thing they did that to me was that dead giveaway was they tried to tell people to wear a mask. Now, when they told people to wear a mask, you should have just left it there. You know what I'm saying? That's where they fucked up at. Rather than just make the requirement a mask wearing thing, just say wear a mask. You know what I'm saying? They said they want you to wear a mask inside and outside. So that was a dead giveaway scientifically in itself. There is no way you're going to wear a mask inside your house when you go to sleep and outside when you wake up and you go outside. Because that's not going to block any virus if there was a true deadly virus in the first place. That mask wouldn't do shit. In the long run, everybody still would have gotten sick from the virus. But being that they said that, and Biden gets up there with his creepy ass and start talking about inside and outside and all that stupid shit, gave the dead giveaway that there was no virus in the investigation. You know what I'm saying? This was no more than a weaponization and a biological attack. This was also a weaponization using a biological attack on the people. I don't care what you say. You don't have to like it. My job in this is not to make you like everything I say. You know what I'm saying? And neither should you if you're explaining something to people. We're not children here. Let's grow up. Now, once they did that bullshit, you know what I'm saying? You looked at the procedure of testing, and it was not right. But forced everybody literally under quarantine and mandates and executive orders. That's weaponizing and conning the motherfucking people into some bullshit all over the fucking world, including probably every single NATO nation, you know what I'm saying, to do this shit to the people. And then when you call yourself testing for the virus, you testing them up their nose with a stick about that long. When your nose bridge from up the nose to where they jam that long stick up is only that short. Or probably even that short. You see what I'm saying? My fingers are almost touching. So if you stick something up the bridge of your nose, it's right in your brain. Because if somebody broke your nose and jammed it into your head, it would go into your brain immediately, into that little round circle that we call the eye, the all-seeing eye. You know what I'm saying? That's what that circle really is. And if people learn to use it, but at the same time, it gives you mass protection, ear and stuff, different stuff. So what they're doing is jamming that long stick up their nose and puncturing that circle. Look it up in the anatomy of the human skull. You know what I'm saying? And the nose and so forth. And behind the bone of the nose and exactly how close that circle is there. So they're jamming this long stick up your nose about this long. You see? And they want to push it all the way up till people have to go, when they're doing it. So what they're doing is damaging that circle in there and boring a hole literally in it and putting something in it. And once you put something in it, now the effect of a cold and a flu and a virus and all this different stuff is going to get in there. Dust, all kinds of stupid shit, cotton, you know what I'm saying? And it's going to make you feel like you getting sick and you can't breathe because now it's affecting that whole flotation in the rotation. You see. So that was one of the things that they were doing. And then they were using all kinds of different methods. You know what I'm saying? Who does that? You know what I'm saying? The method should be one method. One time you saw a long thing about this long. Then they started showing you something else look like a little cloth they're holding with a little hook on it, like almost look like something you use for fishing. You know what I'm saying? And so on and so on. Excuse me a minute there, people. Something you use for fishing. You know what I'm saying? In more ways than one. Why would you do that? You know what I'm saying? Why would you stick something up a person with a little tin piece of cotton in it and look like a hook on it and punch a hole right up in there? You know what I'm saying? So we know that was another one. Now another one they was using was the thermometer test strategy. You know what I'm saying? Shooting it that beam every way you go. So if you go 100 places, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna keep getting a red beam shot into your skull. Now that red beam that's going into your skull is sort of like an infrared beam. And you're shooting that right into the same spot I just mentioned, going in that hole. That's going to make you sick. And then some of them had different types. They didn't just have one type. Some people had like a round circle one that was real powerful. That when they hit you, that shit right here, it goes in and it probably, puncture that shit. And then now you start feeling lightheaded and sick and all types of shit. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of the shit that they were doing did not match up to the procedures of a pandemic or any type of virus. You know what I'm saying? And they was doing this shit all along and forcing people completely into it. Meanwhile, they were ravishing and ramping through the streets with Black Lives Matter working for Soros and the same people who put this up in those playing together. But at the same time, talking about testing yourself and all the test kits and all, really sickening set of ignorant individuals. But at the same time, now, the next thing that they were doing is that they put the mandate to the point where you're asking for 70%, 80%, 90% of the people to get this shit. You know what I'm saying? And none of your procedure prior showed any true result as to a actual true virus. And then you rush them right in under the pressure of saying they want to go back to work, get this pandemic shit. I want to be able to go out, go to the stores, whatever. And you're restricting everyone, closing down business, all that bullshit they were doing. You know what I'm saying? Making the people lose money from working and unhealthiness and so like that. Then you finally gave up the stimmy. And that didn't do much good. That seemed like another trickery piece of bullshit that went along with your garbage. But at the same time, and lucky thing that it was there because it did help out a great vast of people that didn't have money, but it didn't do any really good to me. You know what I'm saying? Because I never got one. You know what I'm saying? I never got one. And whether you're on child support or not, I wonder if people who were on child support even got one. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people did not get it automatically coming on their card or check or anything. They got nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it's garbage in its way, but it still was good and it helped out many people. So we're not going to diss the good just to present the bad. You know what I'm saying? In one way it was good, and one way it's sad it had to come to that. But anyway, and the next thing they did now is you force people into a vaccination program. The American people, and then not just the American people, but a lot of people all over the world, India, Pakistan, England, yada 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 yada, all the ones in the NATO nations probably, and all the ones done with the sickness. But at the same time, you did that. You don't do that in no viral situation You don't immediately force the people into testing and then that. So we see where the con and the bulls and the games were played, including during the campaign time, even when Trump was out there and so forth on. You still was scandalized. But you see, what you didn't understand is that had to happen in order for us to know something. You know what I'm saying? And then you talking about giving the people this bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So that right there you don't do. Because the simple fact is, if you do that, then, you know what I'm saying, how would we ever know if it was what they say it is in any shape or form? A virus coming in. You know what I'm saying? A virus is coming on in on the ships and the shit in the hospital and the nurses. Oh yeah, jump right to the public. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? How do we know that that's true? Because now that everybody has received a 90 to 70 to 100%, Biden see what 70, he said, I want 90 and I want 100%. You know what I'm saying? He got 100% according to their record and so on. And then wanted to give you an ID card. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, by you giving the people that vaccination, we don't know what you really gave them. So anything can pop up coming from that rather than the truth of the matter of a natural virus. You know what I'm saying? That has, caught on or whatever. And usually natural viruses, even if you get one, it don't really spread like that. That's bullshit. And you know it is. And then the next thing you did that gave it away, other than that, you start talking about 170%, 80%, 100%. And then the next thing that even got more silly and more weirder was the fact that you start talking about a global effect at the same time that you force these people to do all this in sequence all over the world at the same time. That's impossible. No virus spreads that way. You see, the demon Democrats think that you're an asshole and a dickwit, and they is smart, and they intelligent, and they got all the power, and you got nothing. You a peon down there with the rest of us sucking us our life. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to take the state in your news and shut the fuck up and go home. You know what I'm saying? We're going to run this scheme on your dumb ass. And you're going to shut up. You know what I'm saying? This is the way they view you. Damn near no more, in more ways than one, not much more than cattle. And we know where that came from. So they better shut up. You know what I'm saying? Talking about you treating people as if they, cattle. And I'm not just talking about, black people or slavery or anything like that. We're talking the general public, the white community, and many of the people on planet Earth as a whole. These people view you as cattle, you know what I'm saying? And no more than something that they can buy and sell on the stock market using your social security number and birth paper. You know what I'm saying? And then when they talk about you jump up and say, well, I was born here, I was born on the land, yada, 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 and you start screaming all that bullshit, they're going to tell you no, because, for you to prove that, you would have to prove, you know what I'm saying, your conquest based on your travel and based on your discovery in itself. You know what I'm saying? In other words, like when, they go to the moon, to make a long story short, when they go to the moon, what do? They see the first footsteps on the moon. And then they plant a flag on the moon as if they own every fucking thing they touch. You know what I'm saying? Putting a flag, they don't make you own it. You know what I'm saying? They stake a flag or whatever the joint was, or they fake or funk or the part and broad. We could sit here and discuss that all day. But at the same time, that's the same issue that they're going to bring to you based on your fact claiming anything. And in the first place that you stepped was not on the land. It was on that piece of contract paper you call that paper where you take a footprint of the baby's foot. And when you take a footprint of the baby's foot on that paper, that's the first place you step. That's a contract. That's a contract. And that contract stands between you and stepping on the land. You know what I'm saying? So, they full of shit with that trickery as well. But if you ever get to claiming and carrying on, you better have concrete proof because they're going to bring that up. You best believe. You know what I'm saying? So at the same time, we saw all these different measures and trickery that did not make any sense in any shape or form. You see what I'm saying? So we know there was a whole lot of demon, democratical, Luciferian, Baphometical piece of shit they were going on with in more ways than one. You know what I'm saying? So, at the same time, we gonna get back to my man Doc Lover, you know what I'm saying, Rich, and let him, put that in itself. You know what I'm saying?
Just thinking, I would love to interview some of these folks and really get a sense of who they really are, where the rhinos are, and I would just simply ask questions. I wouldn't really debate with them. I don't think I would go that route with it. It would more so just be ask serious questions, that would give us a clearer picture on who they really are and what their intentions truly are, and where they stand. Are they Freedom Caucus Republicans, or are they the Mitch McConnell type of Republicans, right? I was just thinking I would just ask them those types of questions to figure out where they stand. But how do you guys feel about that? Do you guys think, it's a good idea, terrible idea? Would you tune in? Let me know in the comment section.
Democrats that they're in coalition with. And you know what, Sean? If your viewers in this country are really governed by a uniparty, then let's go ahead and expose that, and people like Chip Roy and I will be fighting against it for less spending and to defang this woke and weaponized government.
All right. Yep. Expose them. Expose them. I hope the Freedom Caucus votes no and forces all of the rhinos to reveal themselves. Every single one of them. Oh yeah, we're gonna vote with the Democrats. Okay. Have fun in your next election. Goodbye. Goodbye.
So I guess, Chip, the question is, and I think Matt brings up a lot of good points here. I mean, if we're going to put the American people first and fiscal responsibility is key, 33 trillion. For most people, I guess it becomes million, billion, trillion. 33 trillion. Just imagine that number that we're putting on our kids and grandkids. 2 trillion in new debt under Biden this year alone. So, give me a solution that benefits the people of this country. That's who I know you both want to serve, and supposedly your fellow members want to serve.
Yeah, Sean, I couldn't agree more. And again, Matt and I are equally committed and on the same team in terms of what we're trying to do to push back on the Biden administration and cut spending. Look, the issue here is, and the reason I was supportive of putting forward a proposal that would have advanced spending for literally 30 days with an
There is dimensional entities that are walking among us.
And we know that.
8% cut to federal spending and to the federal bureaucracy and move the H.R. 2 border security bills because, Sean, my state of Texas is under assault. People are dying. People are dying from fentanyl poisoning. Little children are getting sold in the sex trafficking trade, and I wanted to hang that around Chuck Schumer's neck. I wanted him to have to go back to the people of New York and say, you know what? All that you're facing here in New York, I'm going to ignore that. You know what? I'm more interested in an open border.
You notice who name he called to hang it around his neck? The sex trafficking. That's first of all. That's been going on for quite a while under our nose. You know what I'm saying? And many other things. You know what I'm saying? Chuck Schumer, demon Democrat. I call him Chuck the Duck Schumer. Damn duck. You know what I'm saying? And his crooked ass has been a part of that whole shit, just like Nancy Pelosi. That's why he was so close with her. Chuck Schumer, and he's supposed to be a demon Democrat of New York, and y'all voted his ass right back in. You don't learn for shit, and you ignorant. Let's just be honest. You fucking ignorant.
than in making sure that we actually close the border. And instead, we're going to end up with a shutdown government. That's the reality.
What's the strategy going forward?
Well, I mean, right now we're in a position where I'm literally in the Capitol. I'm going to go back downstairs trying to figure out a top line number that will get 218 Republicans united to move forward with appropriations bills. And again, I wish we'd have done this months ago. We're working towards trying to do it. But look, it's a bit of an uphill climb because I do believe that there are members of the Republican conference who are about right on the verge of working a deal with Democrats, in which case we end up with a continuing resolution that funds into December at the Pelosi levels, and we may end up with Ukraine funding or emergency spending on top of it. I'd like to stand in front of that. That's why I put forward a proposal that I thought would cut spending, secure the border of the United States. That's where I think we ought to go. We ought to be beating the heck out of Democrats over what they're doing to open borders and their spending. We had a way to do it, and unfortunately, we didn't take that path. So now I'm down here working and trying to figure out what's next.
I'll end that there. I don't even want to hear anymore. I'm just disgusted. I'm honestly disgusted. I'm so sick and tired of these rhinos, man. It's just, and I'm new to this. I'm new to politics. I haven't been paying attention to politics for very long, and I'm already sick of it. Can anybody explain to me how people like Mitch McConnell keep getting reelected? Is he like running by himself? Like who ran against? I need to look this stuff up. I need to look this stuff up. I really do. I need to do a deep dive on who these folks are running against. Like, are they running against all rhinos? Are they just by themselves? Like, are they running against no one? What has happened? What am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something. There's something missing in this equation, in my humble opinion, and I can't figure out what it is. Please help me. Please help me. Because I don't understand how people like Mitch McConnell keep getting put back in office. I really don't. I don't understand, and this is no slight to his constituents or whatnot. Because like I said, there's probably something I'm missing, right? I have to be missing something. So let me know in the comment section. Any Republican, so-called Republican, that votes with Democrats on any of this, in my humble opinion, should get the boot. They should get the boot in the next election. They should be voted out. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you vote with them, if you vote with the Democrats, you should be voted out. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It should be that simple, because that's not what you got put in office for, in my humble opinion. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm on an island by myself. Maybe I'm confused. Y'all let me know in the comment section. I'm just at a loss for words at this point. I really am. Somebody, please help me out. I'm lost. Explain this to me. What is happening? Are they lying throughout their campaign about how they feel and what? Well, of course they're lying, right? They're politicians, but like I guess I don't know how to word that properly. Then are they saying basically they aren't going to be a rhino and then they actually are a rhino? Like, what am I missing? Somebody tell me, please, because the only true Republicans I see are the Freedom Caucus Republicans. Those are the only ones. That's it. And that's only, 19, 18, 19, 20, something like that. A very, very low number. Those are the only ones that I see truly standing up for what I feel we as Republicans actually want. But once again, maybe I'm wrong. Y'all let me know in the comment section, please. If I'm wrong, let me know. Let me know. I am fine with being wrong. You're not gonna offend me or anything like that. But yeah, talk to me. Y'all stay safe out there. Peace and love.